Hi there, Dave here with another game programming video, and here we're going to change the color of the bullets in the asteroids game, make them a little bit bigger and make them fire from a little bit better position in the ship. So let's go ahead and put this together. Now what I've done is I've opened up the old version and the new version, and here's the this is the old version. And so we can see that when we fire, we get just red bullets, and it fires from a strange place, right? What it's doing is it's actually firing from the top of the square that really is the ship. But we want it to look more like it's firing from the center of and it's too small to be seen. So make it a little bit bigger, and we're also going to make it so it's red and blue. And so I brought up that version over here. And so if we look at it, we see there it's red and blue. It alternates. And if I turn it, it looks like it's always in the center and the bullets are bigger. So that's what I did. So I've downloaded everything and opened it up. And I've opened it up in an editor that we haven't seen before. This is called Notepad++, and I use it because it's sensitive to JavaScript. It knows the language, it knows what it's supposed to be. What do I mean? Well, for instance, when I look at the code here, if I want to know where crafty load begins, because I'm executing the function crafty load, and I can see that, oh look, there's the red, there's the red. So crafty load goes all the way down to here. How many parameters are there in crafty load? Well, let's see. I can see that the first thing being passed into the load parameter is up to that first comment. It's an array containing image, the name of image files. And then the next thing is a function. Okay, so the next parameter is a function. How big is that function? Well, if I put on my left curly brace here, it shows me that the second parameter goes all the way down to the bottom. There's only two parameters in the load function of Crafty, and I can see that, and my editor is helping me see that. So this is the old version of the code. Let's go take a look at the new version of the code. The new version of the code says I want to change the bullet color from red to blue. So what I do is I make a variable up here. There is red. Notice that we're passing in a string. Inside that string looks like a function called RGB, red, green, blue, and the maximum value is being placed into the red. That would be the red color. But notice it is a string. It looks like it contains a function with 3 parameters, but it's a string. And so there we have that string red. We have the blue. Notice there's no red, no green, but all blue. And then we go ahead and set another variable called current color to red. Now that variable is called a switch. And that's what we're going to use to alternate between red and blue. Notice that I set current color equal to red. Now what we got to do is go take a look at where the bullets are being created. And we know that they're being created when we hit the space bar. And if we look down, we see that the space bar is what's going to happen when the space bar is hit is that it is bound through the key down function. Anytime a key is pressed, it goes down, it's going to execute this function. So this player is bound and it's key down to the execution of this function. And since part of that key down would be the space bar that I'm concerned about, here is the execution of the space bar code. So when the event that occurred, its key code, there's the event that occurred, it's being passed to me inside of this function. So when I have bound this thing, I bound this key down event to this function, and when the function happens, it passes me this event, and then I can ask questions. I can say, well, is the event's key code equal to a space? And if it is, This is the code that I execute. And so what I'm doing is I'm going ahead and I'm using the bullet, and that is going to, here I'm creating the bullet, and so I've added 33 to the X and the Y to more center the bullet in the ship. I've also made it a little bit bigger. I've changed this from, well, let's go ahead and take a look at where the other code is. So here's the creation of the other code. This guy, here he is. So he was 2 and 5 and just X and Y. I added 33, and instead of 2 and 5, I went ahead and made it 5 and 8 to make it bigger. Everything else pretty much stays the same, except that I added some more code down at the end of the function. So down at the end of the function, let's look down here. Well, first of all, there's another change. On line 59, what I'm doing is I'm using current color. So I'm passing in a string known as the current color. We noticed that the current color was set to red. It was set to the string for red. We noticed in the original, when we set that color, we set it to red. Remember, we set this equal to red up at the top in the other code. So we put in the current color. So this value in our new code is current color. And there it is. And so we set it to current color. Now, after the execution of the creation of that entity, then we say, okay, if the current color is red, then set it to blue, so that the next time I create a bullet, it's going to make a blue one. It says else, current color equals red. Okay, so if it was red to begin with, set it to blue. When after it's made a blue one, when it comes down here, it's not going to be equal to red, so it's going to set the current color to red, so it'll make a red one next time around. And that's why we call current color a switch. It switches back and forth depending upon what its current value is. And you can see how useful that can be in programming in all kinds of different ways. Okay, so there we go. A change. Take care.